Welcome to Salty Esquire. Today's topic, who's your daddy? Surviving a paternity action in California. So let's get started. We all know how a man physically becomes a daddy. The question is, how does a man legally become a daddy? We all know who mommy is. There's really no legal question there. Whoever the child comes out of is considered the mother, legally. There are some technical issues regarding in vitro, but we're not going to go into that here today. So the real legal question comes down to is, how does a man become a legal father? Well, in California, this is governed by the California Family Code. There are two ways that a man can become a legal father in California. First, this is the easy one. He's married to the mother. A woman has a child while she's married. The father is what we call presumed. The husband is what we call presumed father. He's legally the father as soon as the child's born. Number two, and this is where it gets a little sticky. When a child is born to a woman that's not married, there is only one legal parent, and that's mom. Dad, he has to go to court and prove that he is the father. And how does he do that? Well, that's what we call a paternity action. Dad has to go file a document with the court alleging that he is the father of this minor child. The court will then determine whether he actually is the father or not. How does the court do that? Well, there are a few different ways. The most common way is through consent. Both mom and dad agree he is the father. There's no question about that. They can both sign off on a document. He becomes a legal father. Nice and easy. Usually it doesn't work like that. Many times, father has to prove he's the father through a DNA test. And that's done through the paternity action also. So let's talk about a hypothetical. So, young man gets a notice in the mail, has somebody deliver a document to his house. And this document is from Superior Court of California. And it says, you are the alleged father of X name minor child. This young man, he's pretty confident that he doesn't have a child. So he says, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm just going to throw this away. I don't need to deal with this. What are the consequences of that? Well, for one thing, ignoring a legal document can place you in harm. Never ignore any document from the court, please. So what the court can do in a case like I just mentioned, the hypothetical, the court can go ahead and find that this young man is the father of the child. Even though there was no DNA test, he didn't show up and say, yes, I am the father. We call that a default judgment. What does default judgment mean? Basically, it means you didn't show up. So we're just going to presume that you are the father and move forward. Don't ignore legal documents. So why does this information matter to you? Well, you may say, I'm sure that I don't have any children floating around out there. I'm sure no one's going to accuse me of being the father of a child. Not so fast. Sometimes strange things happen when it comes to paternity. For example, I had a client a few years back. I had helped him with an auto accident in the past, so we knew each other fairly well. He calls me one afternoon and says, I have an emergency. I need to come into your office the following day. So, next morning, first person that walks in the door is this prior client. We'll call him Adam. So Adam comes in and he throws down a document on my desk and says, I just got served with this yesterday. You need to read it right away. So I start reading the document. I'm less than 10 seconds in, and Adam starts laughing uncontrollable laughing. I look up, I see him laughing. I continue reading a little bit, then I start laughing. Part of the story I didn't tell you is Adam is a gay man. He has been in a committed relationship for over 10 years. I believe he came out in his teens. So he's lived his entire adult life as a gay man. He just thought it was so funny that somebody had alleged that he was the father of their child. So I look at Adam and I say, well, looks like you have a conversation to have with your spouse. And he starts laughing even harder and says, oh no, he thought it was funnier than I did. Matter of fact, Adam's mother was at the house when he got served. She was so happy that somebody had alleged that he had a child. She was telling Adam, I don't care whether it's your child or not. You're the father. I want a grandbaby. So they just thought this was the funniest thing in the world. Long story short, after numerous phone calls, couple letters back and forth, I was able to straighten it out for Adam. And no, he was not found to be the father of the child. So if you enjoyed this episode, you found this information useful, or whether you would like more information on this topic, please leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And remember, when it comes to legal issues, take everything you hear with a grain of salt.